welcome back to Mecha Rewatch, episodes 38 and 39 of Gundam Wing, and the sides have all changed.
Again, it's just, if you were to start watching this show at episode 38, you would functionally have missed nothing.
Yeah, pretty much.
The rest of the show didn't matter. I mean, it did, right? Like, there are things that you wouldn't know why they're like that.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it would not matter. The show could start here and go to the finish and be self-contained.
Yeah.
Because we're resetting all the sides, we're re-explaining everyone's motivations, that, like, the characters have all switched around again.
Yeah.
Oh my god. It's mostly a 39 problem, but it starts in 38.
Yeah. So for 38, we still have the same opening blurb that we had.
Yes.
That will soon change.
Yeah.
We do actually get, after that blurb, we get another blurb, an exposition blurb about the White Fang.
Yes.
Which tells you everything that you already knew about the White Fang.
But also, if you're the person who started at episode 38, right, you're just like, I just want to watch episodes 38 to 49. It would tell you who the White Fang are. You don't, like, for all intents and purposes, the previous 37 episodes have set up who the White Fang are, and that's basically it. Like...
Kinda, yeah, pretty much. And we cut from that to a fight in space.
In space!
And Wu Fei jumps into this fight.
Sure does.
It's a fight between...
God, I forgot this. We even one episode later, I already forgot how terrible this scene is.
Yeah. There's a fight between Roma Feller and the White Fang.
Yeah, there is.
It's fighting around a colony.
Yeah, Wu Fei kind of shows up, wipes out the Roma Feller guys, then starts killing colony guys, but like also kind of giving them the option to surrender sometimes. He tells them to throw down their weapons, and they like kind of do. And he kills he destroys a bunch of like turrets, which is like unclear if they had people in them.
And the turrets are trying to shoot him.
They are. Well, I mean, he's attacking them. Shoot back. That's not. That's
yeah.
But he's decided he is going to disarm. He is space disarmament treaty Wu Fei.
Noin shows up
and tries to recruit him. Is like, I'm looking for Gundam Pilots. Would you like to join me? It's funny because she shows up in a Taurus, her white Taurus.
Yeah.
And they don't fight, despite him having attacked every other mobile suit on the field. He's like, I sense that you're not here to fight.
Well,
for some reason.
Well, because she shot like a turret that was behind him or something like that.
Sure. Regardless, they kind of stand there on the colony. Well, they're mechs too, and have a bit of a standoff. She explains like that she's recruiting Gundam pilots and stuff, and then he like kind of considers it, and then points his weapon at her, and then is like, well, like, why are you like doing this and stuff? And again, she explains, and then he's just like, oh, that sounds like something a woman would say, and flies off. I hate him.
Yeah.
He's just the worst. Oh, we do get a little bit of a... She does when she first shows up, is like, I'm Lucrezia Noin. We met at the Lake Victoria base. Remember that? Back in, like, episode 3?
Yeah.
Like, what a callback.
Yeah, because you're like, oh, right, they haven't interacted since
They have not interacted at all. And it's funny, because... Okay, Wu Fei is exceptionally misogynist, but also, like, only to Noin?
Yeah.
Has he ever expressed anything like that to any other woman?
I think he tried to with Sally Poe, and then Sally Poe basically shut him down.
I don't recall him being quite like that to Sally Poe. I think, okay, here's what it is. This is not an excuse. This makes it worse. I think he feels that way because she's a female mobile suit pilot. Specifically,
it's unclear, but yeah, it seems to be kind of
like
his hang-up.
Because that stands with misogyny, right? She is a female doing the thing that he does, and that's what sets him off because he has all this garbage about strength and whatnot, and
Wu Fei continues to be a bad character.
He's a bad character, and all I want is Noin to kick his ass.
Mm-hmm.
I want her to thoroughly dumpster him in a mobile suit fight, and I want him to cry about it forever.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's all I want. I want him to be beaten in a mobile suit fight specifically by a woman, and specifically by that woman. Like...
In particular, yes.
Oh my god, I hate him.
Yeah, so then we cut to Duo and Hildy at home.
Yeah, we do.
And they're talking about what Duo should do from here on out.
They talk about getting him a job.
Yeah, they talk about getting him a job. And
it's still a mobile suit job. At first, I thought she was going to be like, oh yeah, there's like a job at the local burger place.
Yeah.
But she's like, no, there's like a mobile suit job on like this resource asteroid.
Run by the Winter family.
Have we seen non-combat mobile suits?
No.
Because this job kind of implies that it's not a combat job.
Yeah, that they have construction.
That they have like construction,
suits.
which totally makes sense. It's totally reasonable for them to have construction mobile suits.
We never see
but
them.
We've never seen one.
And we never will see them.
Nope. Probably because it would be a lot of effort to animate. But this implies that there are non-combat mobile suits. That's fine. But yeah, it's owned by like the Winter family. It's like, oh, that's Ketcher's family. Let me go visit.
Yeah, so then we cut to Ketra, and he's walking in like this posh, like kind of observatory.
Yes.
With like some, executive guys, and he's clearly discussing business and stuff.
Right.
And then
he's taken over as head of the Winter family.
Yeah.
Well, he hasn't yet, but he sort of has.
Yeah. Duo.
Because a little bit more misogyny in this episode. Women apparently can't inherit.
Well, we were getting to that because that hasn't come up yet.
Sure.
Because Duo has to introduce himself first. Because notably, suddenly Duo stands up out of the chair he's been hiding in.
Yes.
He doesn't spin the chair around. He just stands up and says something and is like, hey, what's up, Ketra? And Ketra's like, Duo!
It is the second coolest Duo reveal in these 2 episodes.
They reunite, sit down to converse.
Yeah, they have like tea. Well, Ketra has tea. Duo kind of paces.
Duo goes on a nihilistic rant.
Well, because Ketra talks about, like, wanting peace and...
Well, because Duo asks him where he's been. He's
right.
like, I've been on Earth fighting for the Saint Kingdom.
Yeah.
And I think we can totally get this pacifism thing rolling.
Right. Again. For the 3rd time.
Yeah, and Duo's like, I don't believe you.
Well, he's like, I don't really think that that's possible.
Right.
Also, that's not... What is the exact line? Because it's like peace seems incorrect for the god of death, or something to that effect.
Basically, he goes on this like nihilistic rant how he should be the only one who fights.
Yes, he does also. Yeah, he wants to be the only one who fights.
And but the colonies seem dead set on going to war with the Earth, and it's frustrating him clearly.
Yeah, which is fair. Oh yeah, this is where we get Duo asks Ketra, oh, so you've like taken over like the Winter family, and he's like, no, my sisters are running everything, but I will someday. And it's like, why can't your sisters take over the family?
Who knows?
Ketra? What?
Yeah.
Why?
Anyway,
but it is very because there's also it's like because he does say like because I have the mobile suit or whatever, and it is very like I have inherited the powers of the Black Panther, even though his dad wasn't a mobile suit pilot, but it's still kind of like, well, I have the super powerful war machine, so I'm in charge.
I have to go do super powerful.
I am the hero of my family.
Yeah. We then cut really quick to Relena in a castle getting dolled up.
Yeah,
in her
she
queen
does
outfit.
have like a queen outfit, but it's not evil.
And every new outfit we get with Relena,
ages her by a decade.
Yeah, because now she looks like 30.
She looks like she's about 30 in this outfit.
Her like ambassador uniform with like the
it looks like she's in her 20s, and then this makes her look like part of it is her hair is up, but yeah, I mean she looks like every picture you've seen of like the like Queen Elizabeth when she was younger, right?
Yeah, it might have been what they were basing it off of.
I assume so. But that still makes her look like 30. It doesn't make her look... What's her actual age supposed to be? Like 14?
15, something like that.
That's stupid. No, pretend she's at least 20. Pretend this show isn't full of children. It's stupid.
And we then cut to Hiro working on Wing Zero. He's doing like some coding or something on his computer.
Yeah, it's just kind of visual code for he's working on it. This is a thing that he's always done when he needs to like just pulls out this computer console and types.
Then we cut to Ketra at a circus.
Literally the sign says a circus, not the circus.
Yeah,
a circus.
The circus that Troa works at is called
it looks
a
like
circus.
It has some text above a circus. It's like blurred out. I assume that's for the English dub because it was like in Japanese
or something like that. Or
like I assume that they have blurred out the Japanese.
Well, or because I've noticed this a lot. I noticed this more when we see Relena's statement later. But they have a lot of like. It's like the symbology equivalent of like lorem ipsum text, where it looks like characters in languages, but it's not. It doesn't look enough like any one language, like writing system to be, and it doesn't look like words, but it looks like what words should.
All the text in the show is like in English.
Yeah.
Right. Whenever they show like, because like last episode we had like numbers on screen while their predictive engines were going at each other, and it was English, like Arabic numerals.
Well, I mean, yeah, but that's because those numerals are pretty universal. Even Japan uses those numerals.
I guess.
That they definitely do.
I don't know. It just seems weird. Why is the same thing with the if you'll recall back to the Photoshop error text?
Yeah, that was in
English.
Yeah.
Like they just did all the text in English, including a circus.
English is clearly the lingua franca of this universe.
Apparently.
And Ketra...
which relates to the borders thing later.
Yeah.
They have a unified language.
Ketra sees Troa and is ecstatic. He's crying tears of joy.
And Troa's face, like, does this weird, like, shift frame thing, like, as he turns. It's like... And then, yeah, I mean, get you a man that looks at you like Ketra looks at Troa.
Yeah.
Because it's like, my flautist, finally I can play music again.
Yeah. And he goes to approach Troa, who's confused, visibly.
Yeah. He's like, do I know you? Like...
And Ketra's very confused at this.
Yeah.
And then Catherine jumps in, because she's like, homewrecker detected.
Yeah, Get out of here. Like...
Well, she tells...
At first she's very angry.
Because she tells Troa angrily to get back in the tent.
Right, and he doesn't respond to this well. And so she, like...
softens her tone.
She does, like, a lady unshift. And becomes nice and is like, go help the ringmaster, I'll help with the animals here.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. And walks off. And Ketra tries to, like, chase after him, and she's like, no, get out.
You're just gonna make him fight again.
Yeah, you're gonna make him fight again. Don't do that. I don't want him to fight.
And Ketra's like, oh, I just, like...
Ketra says, like, oh, it's my fault, I made a terrible mistake. Like, and he, like, saved me.
Yeah.
From something.
From making like, that mistake. Or like,
that's a weird way to say I shot him to death.
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah. Well, notably in Duo and Ketra's conversation, Ketra clearly still has some PTSD lingering about that incident.
Which makes sense. I mean, he thinks he killed Troa. I don't think that ever goes away.
No.
Which it shouldn't.
Yeah. Then we come back to Duo's house for, like, the briefest of scenes. Like, Duo's, like, I don't even know what Duo's doing. It's a nothing burger, like,
it doesn't matter.
And then we cut to a brewing space battle.
Yep.
And Ketra gets an alert that there's a battle that's about to encroach upon the battle space is about to encroach upon the colonies.
Right. No, wait. Okay,
the colony that
I was a little confused. Is this supposed to be Ketra's colony?
I don't know.
Because that's what makes sense for why he's being alerted that the colony is under attack.
I believe that's the case.
But also, does that mean that Troa has been living on Ketra's colony this whole time? Ketra didn't know?
I mean, Ketra's been busy on Earth fighting for the Saint Kingdom.
But he's been back here a while enough to be, like, discussing business and shit.
I mean, yeah, But he remember, he was never at the circus with Troa. He didn't know Troa.
No, I know he doesn't know that.
So
that
he wouldn't
Troa's
think
on
to
the
look
circus.
for Troa in the circus, and
They don't have like
facial recognition.
Passports. Customs. Troa didn't have to go through customs.
Well, maybe he did, but it was, remember, this circus has been in space a long time.
Yeah.
And Ketra's not actively searching for Troa. So even if there were...
He was last time we...
No, Relena was doing that on Ketra's behalf.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and Ketra didn't continue with that. He's been busy trying to bring about his perfect total pacifism shit.
Sure.
Yeah, he...
Can't do two things.
No, of course not. That would make sense to do two things at once, but...
Can't use the vast resources of his family to simultaneously bring about utopia and also search for the person he thinks is alive. Who is, again, as far as I can tell, living on the colony he owns.
Anyway, brewing space battle, about to encroach, does encroach, in fact, and shots start hitting the colony because the Oz forces are kind of using the colony as a meat shield.
Kinda...
Not really. They're in between the colony and the people shooting at them, and the stray shots are hitting the colony.
More or less, yes.
And some of those shots are causing chaos and damage and stuff.
There's a little girl crying. People run away.
A lighting fixture almost falls on Troa. Catherine pushes him out of the way.
Yep.
She doesn't get crushed or anything like that.
Nobody gets crushed.
And Ketra runs back into the circus because he just saw the tent fucking collapse.
Yeah, and then there's the ringmaster is like, get everyone to safety, save the animals, whatever.
Mm-hmm. And Ketra...
But also this kind of like awakens something in Troa because they start talking about like mobile suits and stuff, and he's
because when Ketra gets in
I know
there,
what that is.
Yeah. Well, and Catherine expounds that the reason she's like being so protective of Troa is she doesn't want to lose anyone again.
She doesn't want to lose anyone else. It's like, you haven't lost anyone yet.
To our knowledge, anyway.
Yeah, as far as we know.
Yeah.
Maybe a lot of circus people died.
Ketra then...
And then Ketra's like, I don't want to lose anyone else either. It's like, that's fair for you.
Yeah.
You've lost a lot of people.
Yeah.
Well, one.
One.
Just, well, but it was important.
And...
I guess you thought you lost two.
Possibly.
We'll allow it.
Yeah. It's... Anyway. Anyhow. So Ketra's like, no, he doesn't have to fight. I just wanted to make sure you guys are safe. I'm going to go into my Gundam now and go fight.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go now. And then Troa's like, no, I'll go with you. And Catherine's like...
Who Troa calls Kathy.
Yeah.
No one else does.
Mm-hmm.
So that's nice.
Yeah. He says, no, I'm going to go. I feel like this is what I need to do.
Yeah.
And
the Song of Battle calls to him.
Yeah, the Song of Battle calls to him. Ketra goes out there and starts fighting.
Which is relevant to next episode.
Yes, it is.
Because he goes out and fights and it's fine.
Yeah, he goes out and fights in Sandrock, and he's winning. And he sees a shuttle and instantly realizes it's Troa.
He does.
Somehow.
Yeah, he just sees a shuttle and is like, Troa! So, okay. Well, I don't know. Troa's IFF. When he got docking clearance, he had them mark the shuttle Troa.
We have a new song also, that is acting as kind of a sub theme song here. That it's more prominent in the movie than it is here. Because the movie almost kind of uses it as a theme, but it's here. I don't know what the name of the song is. I'll have to look it up, but it's a banger.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not the end of the episode yet.
Nope.
Because we cut to Relena and Dorothy. And Dorothy's like, you're about to be crowned the Queen of Earth, essentially.
Yeah.
Isn't that exciting?
Isn't that super cool? You should smile more.
Yeah, basically.
Notably, also, Dorothy has, the evil queen outfit.
Yeah.
It's not quite as regal, but she's got, this black, dress with, this half-shoulder thing and a evil black choker with a bow on it.
Yeah, with a green gem in it and long black
She really
gloves.
Seems like she's pushing for the position of queen consort.
Dorothy, who do you have a fucking crush on? Just tell us.
Tell us. She has a crush on the concept of battle. That's the problem. But But that, or she's trying to be like the Shadow Queen. Like, you know how in parliamentary systems you have like a shadow cabinet?
Yeah.
Right? That's what she's trying to do. She's trying to be the Shadow Queen.
She wants to run the nation through running Relena's shadow cabinet. Basically.
Yeah, basically.
Relena makes a speech, and boy howdy, what a weird speech.
What a lame speech.
Yeah.
Which is funny, because everyone's reaction to it is, oh my god, what a good speech. It's not.
Well, and part of me
wonders...
wonders...
Well, it's either what a good speech, or what a, like, shocking speech that goes against my ideals. One of the two.
Well, and notably, the speech that Relena makes, it's unclear if it's her speech or if it's a speech that Duke Dermail wrote and said, you read this. Because, again, Dermail is trying to set her up as the puppet ruler of Earth.
Which is also funny.
Yeah, that would be funny in the next episode.
It kind of sounds like it's both. It sounds like she starts in on a speech Dermail wanted her to give, and then, like, switches. Because she doesn't, like... It almost sounds like she's gonna, like, betray Dermail and say, you know, this is all a sham. But she doesn't do that.
No.
She's instead like, yeah, we're gonna, like... establish dominion over the Earth in order to stop all wars, basically. And
by
this aligns with my
all
ideals.
National borders.
Yeah, by erasing all national... Which, okay, at no point have national borders been the cause of any of the conflict in this show. At all.
And
we started the show with a global alliance that didn't do any fighting. Except maybe oppressing the colonies a little bit. But that's not a national borders thing.
Well, and all I could get through that when she said that, I was just getting flashbacks to Ace Combat Zero.
Oh yeah,
and the like, what have borders done for anybody? Can you see any borders from up here? And that stuff.
It just, and then from there we go again to like a global revolution where Oz takes over, and then colony stuff, and then I mean all of the nonsense we've talked about for 19 episodes now. But at no point has national borders been any part of it.
No.
Except, I guess, okay. Remember how Romefeller's goal, as stated in the intro, I don't think Romefeller ever talked about, or Dermail or anyone ever talked about this, but the intro always tried to tell us that they were going to bring down the mobile dolls to end all conflicts. Or all disputes, I think they said.
Yeah, disputes.
Maybe there are just infinite border skirmishes going on in the world that we never see.
Maybe.
They're going to bring down the mobile dolls to end all the border skirmishes, and that's what Relena's talking about. Yeah. Like, hey, that's the only thing that makes sense, and it still doesn't make sense.
It really doesn't.
But it seems like that's what the writers had in their head.
Yeah.
It's
not...
Because, again, national borders have never been... There's been no nationalism in this show.
Yeah. The actual context of what you have been presented thus far in this show, borders have not meant anything.
The only border that has mattered is the border of the Scent Kingdom.
Yeah, and it was once.
And it was once, and it was like, crossing it, like...
It was whatever. Anyway.
But it wasn't like something people were fighting a war over where it was.
Yeah.
Right? It just...
It mattered for a casus belli reason that had nothing to do with the actual border itself. It was more of an...
The abolition of that border would not have, like...
Done
anything there.
Yeah.
Well, and there was that one country way towards the start that, like, accepted Oz's help when the guy betrayed the other guy. But that wasn't a border conflict. No. It was an internal conflict to that country.
Yeah.
So, no, borders have never mattered in this show.
No. But then we cut to Trace, who still hasn't turned the fucking lights on in his goddamn castle.
Sitting in the dark, like, evilly commenting on her speech to no one.
Yeah. It's the funny... I'm sorry, I laughed so hard when I saw that.
It's funny, because this show takes great pains to remind us that Trace exists.
Yeah.
Right, like in this scene here, right?
Like, more pains than any other side character. This is very much just a,
remember Trace? He's important.
Yeah.
Right? No one else gets this treatment. People disappear for ages and then suddenly re-show up.
Relena disappeared for like a solid 10 or 12 episodes.
The entire first space arc. Yeah. She's just gone. Right? But Trace, we have to be reminded that he's around.
Yeah. Well, and they show Earth stuff in the space arc.
Yes.
But it's all Trey's-related Earth stuff.
Correct.
Yeah, it's... They really are like, no, you need to understand how...
You need to understand that this guy matters.
Yeah.
Which is funny, because he hasn't done anything that matters.
And then we cut to Hiro in the Wing Zero watching the broadcast and going, Relena. And that's it. That's the episode.
Yeah, it doesn't explain why he's... We'll find out next episode what he's actually thinking, and it's way weirder than you could possibly imagine.
Yeah. So we go to episode 39.
Sure do.
Yeah, and this is a humdinger of an episode.
Yep. It's good.
So,
it has maybe one of my favorite scenes in the entire show.
And we finally get a new blurb that, like, makes actual sense.
It makes sense. It's not about the serum system anymore, thank God.
And we cut to a base in some tundra area. Two soldiers are discussing the new world order.
Yeah. It's like a nice frosty morning, and they're like, I guess we're going to be...
It's a really snowy area. It's more than just a nice frosty morning.
Whatever. Yeah, they're discussing they're going to be out of a job, because, all conflict has been abolished, and they're in the military.
Mm-hmm.
And then the guy's like, no, we'll still have jobs as, like, Queen Relena's personal, like, Cheka.
Yeah.
And he's like,
her Praetorian guard.
Her Praetorian guard. Whatever. Pick a whatever. Her special research bureau or whatever. And then, okay, sure. And then they drive off. Whatever.
And then we cut to the building that they were in front of, where there's, like,
which is a bar or a coffee shop?
It's a bar. It's definitely at least a bar. It might be both.
Right. It's like a coffee bar.
And Zex is just sitting there brooding.
In a trench coat. Like, the show, for 5 minutes, becomes a noir.
Yeah.
Because the bartender's like, don't you have to, aren't you a soldier? Don't you have to leave with them? And he's like,
My war already ended.
My war already ended.
Yeah.
Like, it just becomes a noir for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Never to return. Genre switch.
Cans shows up. Cans is the John Denver Vest man.
Yes.
Who...
Leader of the White Rebellion.
White Fang, yeah.
Yeah.
And he shows up on Earth, somehow.
Young. Well, so here's the thing about... Because they make a big deal about going between Earth and space in this show. But realistically, monitoring, like, traffic to and from an entire planet is actually incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
Right? It's totally reasonable that you could just fly your shuttle down to Earth and back, and no one would know, because planets are huge. Right? Yeah. The only reason this is weird is because they've made a big deal before about it being difficult to transfer between the two.
But apparently not that difficult, because we literally, when we saw Noin, she was already in space. Space.
Not like difficult. It's a process. It's a matter of effort.
Well, I just think it's funny that they went through, like, all that trouble. They had to, like, smuggle themselves into space in the last.
That's because they were like gorillas at the time. I mean,
and they
presumably the Saint Kingdom had a spaceport.
Sure, but the Saint Kingdom was, like, in the process of falling.
Right. But then the fighting stopped, and presumably that
the fighting didn't really stop. Though.
It did, though. Explicitly, it did.
I
mean, the
Saint Kingdom wasn't that big, though. Like, I just feel like, because you had, I don't know. It's weird to me. It's weird to me. It might not be weird to anybody else. It's weird to me. Anyhow, doesn't really matter. Cans is trying to recruit Zex to be the symbol of their cause.
He's like, the Gundams are a symbol of rebellion.
Which is not wrong.
And not incorrect.
And Zex is like...
There's a little bit with the name where he's like... Are you like...
Are you Colonel Zex?
Yeah, are you Colonel Zex? He's like, no.
He's like, wrong guy.
Wrong guy. Right. He goes very like Wolverine for a second. Right. Like,
wrong guy.
And then he goes, are you Milliardo Peacecraft?
Are you Ambassador?
Yeah, are you Ambassador Peacecraft then?
And he kind of pauses for a second. He's like, shit.
Yeah. He looks like he's about to, like, smash his coffee cup over the guy's head or something.
Yeah. And then, we have that whole recruitment sequence. Mm-hmm. And then he walks out and gazes upon Epion. And
sure does.
Kind of implied that he is going to accept their offer.
He doesn't say, like, he's like, we want you also bring your Gundam.
Yeah.
He's like, bring my Gundam? And that's when we get the whole, like, Gundams have become a symbol of the...
Yeah. And... we cut then to Relena, who is sitting on her throne, but Duke Dermail's at a podium in front of the throne. Making a speech about what their charge future, what their future plans are.
Yeah, like we're gonna do this and this and this.
Marky Wayridge, remember that guy?
Like episode 2?
No, episode 2, like episode 5, when Relena tries to kill Lady Noin, or Lady Un.
Lady Un.
Yeah, not Lady Noin. I don't know what I'm fucking talking about. Remember Lady Un?
Remember? She died. I think she actually died from that bullet, right? Right?
No,
she didn't.
No, but we'll get to her later.
Yeah. I wish she had. I wish someone would stay dead.
Yeah, don't we all? Anyhow, Wayridge basically is like, excuse me, but I believe that the queen is sitting in a chair behind you.
He's basically like, why are you giving orders? You named a queen. Yeah. She's in charge.
And he goes, in fact, I think you should step down like Trey's did.
Yeah, he says you should like go into like voluntary retirement like Trey's did. And then
go sit in a castle with the lights off.
Yeah, right. Dermail says he's not going to make the mistake that dictator did, which like Trace was never dictator.
If he would have been given the opportunity, he probably would have been.
Oh, he would have.
But he never was. He
wasn't.
Yeah.
At all.
He was never in charge of anything. Except the military.
Except Oz. I guess he was arguably briefly in charge of all of Earth while Oz was taking over.
Yeah, I guess. But
and like while Rumfell was kind of still in the shadows.
Yeah.
That's when he became Your Excellency.
I guess
right?
That's true.
He was Your Excellency Trays for...
Yeah.
But then was subservient to the Romefeller Foundation with no real change. We never got explained that, did we? How he went from Your Excellency, ruler of all Earth, to... Nah, you're like Romefeller's bitch.
Yeah, it's weird.
He just was all of a sudden.
Again, it's down to the pacing, the editing, and the writing.
Yeah. It's very
being
weird.
all over the place with this show.
But anyway, yeah, Wayridge is like, oh, so you're just saying like Wayridge wants to like vote on whether or not he should be pushed out. Wayridge is like, oh, so what you're saying is like this is just not the right time for that. And Dermail is like, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, Dermail basically outlines, okay, but we're like in the middle of
we're in the middle of the thing here. Like we're trying to pacify the whole Earth. Like maybe like political infighting is not what we should do right now, which is intelligent. And Wayridge is like, all right, fair enough.
Then we cut to Wayridge and a few other guys walking out.
Yeah,
and they're
plotting.
Oh yeah, Wayridge is like, Dermail intends to use Relena as a puppet, but I believe that...
I think we should just put her actually in charge.
Yeah, we should just put her actually in charge. Is that satisfactory, Dorothy? And he like turns and steps out of the way, and Dorothy's standing behind this group of guys.
Well, there's a little discussion because the other guys are like, oh, more than 50% of Romefeller is just behind Relena.
Yeah.
Which I guess it... Okay, wait. No, this actually makes so much of the show make more sense. Presumably that's been like that for a long time. The reason that Romefeller couldn't just attack the Saint Kingdom previously is because half of Romefeller actually just likes Relena.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
Suddenly, the political situation... I mean, it still doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, but it would have...
It works more now.
And it would have made better sense if they had outlined that.
Right. Well, because part of this is that Romefeller was this like secret bourgeoisie organization that was running the world, and now it's more of like the world parliament.
Yeah.
Right.
And like the world nobility parliament.
Yeah.
It's like the House of Lords
where they're actually like infighting and there's politics and stuff. If it had been presented that way from the start, that would have made way more sense. If Relena had 50% political support within the world parliament, that would have made way more sense.
Yeah.
The whole show makes more sense as the Romefeller Foundation is presented now. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah, versus how they were presented earlier.
But I gotta tell ya, episode 39 is a little late for that.
Yeah, it is.
It's just a wee bit late to explain why the other 38 episodes work.
Yeah, that's just a teensy bit on the late side. Just a teensy bit. But I do love that, when they're plotting, they, say all this stuff, and then Marky Wayward is is that all to your satisfaction? Dorothy, and he, turns around and steps out of the way, and there's Dorothy Catalonian.
Dorothy is the secretly plotting to make Relena more powerful. It's politics, it's intrigue, it's fine, whatever. It's allowed to be weird.
It's wheels within wheels.
Yeah, which is fun. That's actually a fine way to present that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. I actually didn't have any problems.
I think the only thing that weirds me out about it is that, the two people in the situation with the most power are the two people who have no power.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because it's Dorothy and Relena, each of whom is not some titan of industry or leader of a country.
Right.
Unlike everybody else in the room. Right? Which is a little odd.
Yeah.
But we'll allow it. Because this show does that, and all the old people have no power. Mm-hmm. Right? Old people just do whatever the young people tell them to do. Right? It's why the Gundam Pilots all get to do whatever.
It's why Ken's has gone to Zex to lead their faction.
Yes,
because he's old and Zex is not.
Because he's old and Zex is not.
That's not what he says, but that's what I choose to believe.
Right? Yeah. The young protagonists get to do all the things, despite the fact that no one in the room should be giving them the time of day.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you look at actual world politics, they don't all turn to the 16-year-old and go, how should we plot to overthrow the government?
Yeah. So we cut to space, and we're in the shuttle with Ketra, Noin, and Troa, and
Cowboy Noin.
Yeah, it's Cowboy Noin. She's wearing a buckskin shirt.
It looks like she ran out of clothes, and they had to stop at the nearest truck stop, and this was all they had.
Yeah.
It's so out of left field, it makes no sense. It makes even less sense, because most of the time when they're in shuttles, they wear spacesuits.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
But randomly, they are not in spacesuits in this scene, and Noin has chosen her buckskin shirt.
it's certainly a choice.
Maybe they got it at the circus? She got a souvenir at the circus!
Anyway... So, they're discussing how Wu Fei decided not to join them.
Right.
And that's about it. That's really what that covers.
That's really, Wu Fei's not coming? Yeah, no, he's a jerk.
Noin basically says he has his own motivations in a kind of voice.
Which is a very nice way of saying he's a sexist pig.
Well, and but the tone she gives it a little bit is that the voice actress gives it is a little bit kind of like, yeah, we don't really want Wu Fei anyway.
Yeah, which is funny because we skipped over this, but when she first saw Wu Fei fighting, when she went to recruit him, she's like, oh, there's a guy with a sense of justice.
Yeah, he's fighting with a clear sense of justice.
I assume that attitude evaporated when he
misogynized
at her.
A second time.
Yes.
This time directly to her face.
It was pretty to her face last time, too.
Yeah, but this time it was no.
This time it wasn't in the heat of battle or anything.
No, it was
not that that's an excuse.
It's not. It's not an excuse, but it's even more insulting.
Yeah, it's even more
It's not that it's
just disrespect.
It's not that the previous time was not insulting. It's that this time is even more insulting.
Right.
And yeah, that's about it for that scene. We cut to Hildy walking back to
with
house.
With a paper bag, but there's no bread sticking out of it.
There's no baguette.
Yeah, there's no baguette, so she can't have just gone to a normal store. And as we will find out, she's bad at groceries.
As she's walking back, she's noticing all these mobile suits and armed dudes.
Well, there's a mobile suit with it's love and peace painted on it.
Yeah, or something like that.
Which is neat. And then there's some armed dudes. And then she gets...
It's White Fang. There's White Fang.
There's White Fang.
White Fang has basically enacted martial law in this colony.
Right. They're a gang. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like many revelations.
Yeah.
It's not...
Anyway, as she's getting back, we cut to inside the house as she's arriving at it.
Yeah.
And White Fang is attempting to recruit Duo.
Right.
And Duo is hard no.
Yeah, no thank you.
And they attempt to threaten him.
Which is weird.
And Duo's like, you didn't bring even mobile suits. I have a Gundam in my backyard.
Well, so it's partially that. There's also a weird, like, they threaten him, and they're like, oh, it's a shame. Gundams become a symbol of revolution. It's a shame we'll be fighting against one. But he hasn't said, like, I'm going to fight against you.
Yeah.
He's just like, I don't want to be involved, man.
Yeah,
like,
and then he's like, oh, so, and then when they threaten him, he's like, oh, you really want to fucking do this?
Yeah. And he's like, your time is up. Get out of my house.
Yeah.
Before,
he does the classic, like, retired, like, soldier thing in, like, a bunch of movies where they try to recruit him where he's like, get out, he
literally says, like, you won't like me when I'm angry.
He doesn't say, you won't like me when I'm angry. He's like, don't get me angry.
Yeah. Like, don't make me angry.
And the you won't like me when I'm angry is implied.
Yeah. And then they leave. Hildy comes in.
And he's like, why aren't you joining the White Fang? They would treat you like a hero.
Right. And he's like,
she's taking, like, seeming endless
apples out of the bag.
A seemingly endless amount.
Yeah, there's just an apple, and then another apple, and then presumably because what they did is they animated her taking an apple out and then just looped it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, which is a very easy, quick way to get lots of animation done for cheap. But, like, it's very funny that there's just apples, more and more apples.
Yeah, well, and then Duo snatches one apple from her, and then we get a cut that shows, like, 5 apples on the table.
Yeah, it's a bag full of apples. She was at the apple orchard, the space apple orchard.
Yeah.
They're very nice apples, very red, round,
Yeah, very juicy looking apples.
Yeah. She's got so many, she's presumably going to make a pie. They're probably very tart.
Yeah.
Because Duo looks like he's about to bite into one, and then doesn't.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because he realized, oh, this is not like a lovely, this is going to be a very tart, like, pie apple. No, thank you.
Yeah. And Duo says, I'm getting in the Death Scythe, and I'm leaving. I'm leaving.
I'm going to go. Because, he's like, I've caused you too much trouble here already. Yeah. Like, they're going to keep coming back here to try to get me. I mean, they already threatened me. Probably going to burn your house down, by the way. You should move. He doesn't say that, but, like, probably going to burn your house down. Right.
That is
because this is Hildy's house. Hildy, by the way, like, owns a house.
Yeah.
Which is...
this is apparently Hildy's town that they're living in.
Sure.
Well, like, where she's from, anyway.
Oh, yeah, this is where she's from.
Yeah, it's not her, like, she doesn't own the town.
She's like mayor.
Yeah.
I don't know, for all I know, she might be. I have no idea. Again, they put the youngest people around in charge. Yeah. So, maybe she runs this colony.
It's, who can say?
Well, White Fang runs this colony now, but...
Yeah. Look at me. I am the colony head now.
I am the colony head now.
And, yeah, we then...
He leaves.
Yeah. We cut to...
And we get this, like, parting shot of, like, oh no, let me see.
Basically, it's what...
Which, I don't remember if she ever comes back. I kind of hope she doesn't.
Yeah.
She's just not an interesting character.
She's not. Cut to shipyard in space.
She would be a much better character if they remembered that she can pilot a mobile suit.
Yeah.
Like, at any point. Like, she would just be another Noin at that point. Right? Which would be fine. I like Noin. Noin's one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, she'd be like Duo's Noin. Yeah.
Right.
But they don't.
Well, because, okay, where I wanted this scene to go, this scene doesn't go this way. Where I wanted this scene to go is Duo refuses to go and fight, and so she steals the Death Scythe and goes and fights as Duo. Yeah. And then can, like, get killed doing that, like the Iliad. Yeah. Right? It can be like the Iliad.
Yeah, and then
no, that's not what happens.
In a better written show, that's what
in a better written show, she would pretend to be Duo Maxwell, join up with all the other Gundam pilots, and then be worse at it because she's not actually a Gundam pilot and get killed.
Well, or join the White Fang and fight on their side against the Gundam pilots.
Either way, the point is she would fight as if she was Duo and get killed.
Yeah.
And then Duo would become extremely angry and kill Hector.
Yeah, and then parade
his body around the city of Troy. It falls apart at that point. But
yeah. Anyhow, we cut to the shipyard in space.
Yes,
and we have
it's not really. It's just kind of a spot in space where they are building a giant ship. It's not really a yard.
No, it's not really a yard.
Which makes sense. When a ship this big, you don't build a yard around it. You just kind of like. I actually like the way that they depict this because they just leave the bits floating in space. Which you can do that, right? Yeah. They're not go anywhere.
No,
space makes construction really easy because you don't need to put things up on scaffolding. You can just float stuff places.
You don't need a boom to hold everything in place.
Right,
you don't need a cradle for the ship or anything like that.
Yeah. It's a very cool looking like spaceship construction.
Colonel Sidici outlines why they need
Colonel Sidici.
Yeah, he outlines why they need the battleship still, and that the Earth thing is a front. Obviously, Relena's a puppet, and blah 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 blah.
Yeah, obviously, Relena's a puppet. They're gonna like unify Earth and then come for us next. So we need a giant battleship.
Yeah, and space is its own nation.
Space is its own nation. Which is better than space was doing previously, I guess. This is also where we get the thing about them... At some point, the show explains that, like, they've taken over the mobile dolls.
Yeah, no, this is also that scene.
They're, like, repainting them and stuff.
Yeah, they're repainting them, because he asks, how's the lunar base that we captured
doing? Yeah.
And he goes, well, we've captured the upgraded Virgo suits and are equipping them as we speak.
Yeah.
9,000 Virgo suits are fully operational with
a million more well on the way.
Yeah, pretty much. And then we cut to Noin and the gang getting ambushed.
We're still working everyone to death, but it's for us now.
Yeah, it's for their own good. And then we cut to Noin and the gang getting ambushed.
This time in spacesuits.
Yep.
Gone is the buckskin shirt, hopefully never to return.
I'm pretty sure I have bad news for you.
Throw it into space, Noin. Throw it. Lucrezia, throw it into space.
Lucrezia, Noin, you're German, not Space Montana.
You're not Space Montana. Oh my god.
So yeah, they get ambushed. And Troa's like, I'm gonna go out and fight. And they're like, are you sure? Like,
and he's like, yeah, I think I remember how to do it.
Yeah, he literally
Which it turns out he fucking does.
Yeah, he goes out in one of the spare white
It's
Taurus
like riding
suits.
a unicorn, you never forget.
He goes out in a white Taurus suit, dual-wielding.
Dual-wielding guns.
He's got one of the smaller, like, beam cannons in one hand and one of the bigger beam cannons in the other hand, and he is wrecking shit.
He sure is. And yeah, the guys attacking them who are Oz, I think?
Yeah, they're Oz remnants.
Yeah, are like, a white Taurus, who could that be?
Yeah.
Despite the fact that there's like one person who pilots a white Taurus.
Well, one nation had
There's one nation that has white Tauruses, and most of them are gone now.
Yeah.
It's I guess they have two. There are two in this shuttle.
Two, because Noin gets out and also
they brought a
shooting.
Why did they bring another white Taurus?
Well,
they didn't know they were going to find...
presumably so Noin had a spare or something
like
that.
Noin's spare. I'll allow it. But so then he fights for a bit, and then Ketra's like, I'm going to go out there too. And he gets out there in Sandrock. And Sandrock, like, is having trouble because it's not been properly space modified.
Yeah.
Which would be a fine plot point if it hadn't wrecked shit in a space battle last episode.
Yeah,
it's very confusing.
It's weird.
Because, again, this is a fine plot point. Totally reasonable. Why did you have that previous battle where it was fine?
Yeah. And Ketra seems to think...
Ketra thinks Troa's in danger, which he is because he's going to run out of ammo. And I guess Ketra has just figured out that that's going to happen. Noin also gets out there in a... a giant blast, like, disables their shuttle's power supply. So they're just going to, like, detonate it. They get out in their mobile suits and they're just going to blow their shuttle up.
Yeah.
Query why it needs to be detonated. Surely they could just leave it. But, okay.
Yeah.
Whatever. And yeah, like, he needs to go rescue Troa. They're too far away. And so he's like, my Verniers won't get me there in time. So he goes and, like, floats next to the shuttle while it explodes to be hurled towards Troa. Which is cool, but this is very contrived. Like, this could have been set up.
Especially
it's trying to do two things. One, it's a cool scene. Two, it's, like, trying to establish that Ketra feels really, like, guilty about the Troa thing and feels the need to protect him.
Yeah.
Right.
And it would make even more sense, again, if Ketra didn't literally, like, right after this, fire 2 long-range missiles.
Yes, correct. He does, in fact, have missiles. But yeah, and the funny thing is, this is a cool concept for a scene. Because we've seen that Gundams are incredibly durable to explosions. So the idea that a Gundam would, like, sit in an explosion to accelerate itself is a very cool concept for a scene. But this is weird and contrived and doesn't work.
Yeah. And so he shoulder checks the Taurus.
The thing that's about to shoot Troa because Troa's out of ammo. Troa he runs out of ammo and then throws his guns at the enemy.
Yeah.
It just swats them aside. It doesn't work, but it's very fun.
Yeah.
Again, there's some cool concepts in this scene. It's just kind of a weird, contrived scene.
Yeah. And they both collide with an invisible object that briefly shimmers in the shape of Death Scythe.
And then Death Scythe decloaks, and Duo's, entrance music starts playing.
Which is that theme that I told you that I mentioned previous.
But it's, much more prominent here.
Yeah. Duo has arrived.
Yeah. And absolutely, wrecks shit. Because Death Scythe is, properly space capable, and also just very good Gundam. Right, but it's lengthy at the mop-up is, they do, the length of the song.
And clearly Ketra's adjusted, because he does, a really...
he seems fine now.
Because he, kicks one, Taurus, and then... kind of as in the uses the motion of the kick to give himself more force to throw one of his sickles into another Taurus.
Yep, it's very I don't know, the it's not space capable plot point
is crumbling even further.
Yeah, and then they clear all these guys and have a conversation.
Yes.
But, okay, so this is an animation thing. I understand from an animation perspective why they did it. But they all... So you know how when they're on Earth, they will get out of their Gundam stomachs and, stand on the door to talk to each other because it's, easier than talking over radio?
Yeah.
Well, they do that in space. But in space, you have to talk over radio anyway.
Yeah,
they can't shout to each other. They're all in spacesuits in hard vacuum.
There's no air to propagate sound waves.
Right. So... It makes no sense that they do this. The reason it's done from an animation perspective is because showing who is talking is much easier when you can see all four characters and who is moving, rather than have them all be over radio and it be very confusing. So from an animation perspective, I get why they do this. This is why they always do this when Gundam pilots talk to each other, is because it makes it much more obvious who's talking. But it just makes no sense in space, right? It just this scene is silly. The interesting thing is there is a cool thing you can do in space that would have been kind of neat if they had did it here. Because you can talk to a person without a radio in space. The way you do it is you, put the faceplates of your suits up against each other so that sound can propagate through the contact.
Yeah, and we see this in lots of other sci-fi.
It's very cool. It's a very cool thing every time that people do it because it's neat. And if all four of them had gone into a huddle and put their faceplates against each other, that would actually been kind of a neat scene.
Yeah.
But they don't do it. And I think the thing is, I think a better Gundam show would have done that.
Yeah.
Because Gundam shows are usually very big. It's wrong to call them hard sci-fi because they have space sci-fi Gundams that do all kinds of nuts stuff.
They carry a lot of hard sci-fi elements.
Yeah, they carry a lot of physics aspects, especially when they're out in space. They pay a lot of attention to things like orbit and lack of sound propagation and things like that, and it gives them this hard sci-fi feel. Right.
Without truly being hard
really being hard sci-fi, because again, Fernier engines and
Gundanium alloy and
Minovsky particles are all nonsense.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, they do this sort of quasi hard sci-fi thing that's really nice, and this show just fails to do that. And it makes it one of the lesser Gundam shows as a result, because it's one of the things that Gundam is good at and good for.
So then we have our final cut, where we cut to Hiro flying through the atmosphere. Well, not up. I say flying through the atmosphere. He's flying through in upper atmosphere in the clouds.
Yeah, he's in plane mode. Yeah, he's just traveling, and
he literally states aloud, "I'm going to Relena. I'm going."
He's back on. I'm going to kill Relena.
Yeah,
he decides that the way to stop Romefeller's plot to take over the world is to kill Relena so that they can't use her as a figurehead. Which is pretty reasonable.
Yep.
And also a thing he should be very capable of doing on account of he has his colony buster gun and could probably do it from 1,000 miles away.
Yeah.
This should be a relatively trivial assassination.
He could fly up to, low orbit and just fire straight
For
down.
that matter, he could wait till they're in a meeting and wipe out the entire Rockefeller Foundation.
Yeah.
With that gun.
They're in a big, obvious castle.
They sure are. Shouldn't be hard. He doesn't have to get close. There would be a lot of But
when has Hero ever cared about incidental casualties?
Ever cared about incidental casualties? So this should be an easy mission for him. It will not be.
And that will end episode 39 and this episode of Mecha Rewatch. Next episode, episodes 40 and 41.
40 and 41.
Yeah, which, we're getting real
Final
close
10.
here. Yeah, we're in the
Countdown.
Final 10 countdown. Good.
Yeah, which for us means only 3 more recording sessions? Because we do these 2 at a time.
Usually, yeah.
Could have started establishing the meta narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that people can develop parasocial relationships with us and boost the algorithm.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Well, until then.
Yep.
Peace.
See ya.